Hi, I'm Amy and this is the Half Caff podcast. We're going to talk about knitting and crochet as usual. There will also be coffee as usual. Today's mug for episode 19 is a Jack mug that I got for Christmas. It's got Jack, it's got stripes, it's black and white. If I had spirals, it'd be the perfect mug, but it's still pretty perfect. My coffee's cold and almost gone because this is take like 91 for some reason. Anyway, hi. So yeah, knitting and crochet, and also Happy New Year. I've said that so much in my head, I don't know if I already said it to you. So Happy New Year. I hope your new year has been going well. It's only day 2, but odds are good then. Fingers crossed. Hopefully you've had some knitting and some lovely relaxation time. I don't know if you're a partier for the new year. I certainly am not a typical partier. I think maybe those days aren't over, but that's not my vibe lately. So just staying in and knitting and hanging out and yelling Happy New Year while we listen to the neighborhood fireworks. That's pretty much my celebration. But I do like to celebrate on New Year's Day. So we got together with some friends and played some games, and that was really fun, especially since we still don't do that as often as we used to pre-pandemic. So it's kind of nice to get back into it. I have New Year energy. I'm very excited about it. Got some things percolating. I even made a resolution. It wasn't very hard. It was just something I wanted to do, and I thought, well, hey, it's New Year's, so let's kick it into high gear. So, and that is to read for 20 to 30 minutes every day in a particular collection of books that I never get to, but I really like to read, which are philosophy, psychology, and of course astrology. Since I'm an astrologer, I find that interesting. So I do use I do read audiobooks, but usually I do that with fiction. I don't know why, it's a better fit. So I like to mark up nonfiction books or like go back and reference stuff. So anyway, I just like to read them with my eyeballs instead of my ears. So I think it's a nice way. I've been doing it for about a week now, actually. And it's really nice, and it kind of puts me in a really good mindset and kind of accesses parts of myself that are a little bit dormant lately. I also started kind of a new job. It's just a volunteer job. Anyway, so I started volunteering once a day. It might once a week. It might be twice a week in the future, but at my local yarn shop. It was so much fun. I've only done it once, but it's going to be a regular thing, and I had so much fun, and it just kind of gives me something else to focus on besides my own mess. So that's been really fun, and I'm enjoying that. Anyway, let's get to the knit. So I have knitting and crochet, as I've said, and we're going to talk about finished objects and works in progress. I would normally talk about what I'm wearing. I don't know if you can see much of it, but I'm not wearing anything me-made. It's only me-loved, but not me-made. This is store-bought, but I love it so much I actually bought 2 when I got it just in case, because I never want this to get ruined or whatever. It's a dark monochromatic color. It's a V-neck. It's a perfect lightweight sort of sweater. It's soft. It's argyle. I love argyle, and argyle is not a kind of thing that I will probably knit because whether it's stranded color work, which would be kind of a pain, or it's Antarja, I don't think I'm gonna get around to that. So store-bought for me with the argyle thing. But I was so excited to find this sweater, so I love wearing it, even if I didn't make it. On my Chloe mannequin behind me is something that if you've been here, you've noticed me working on a lot. It's my Snowy Shawl by Jessica McDonald, and I love that. Just kind of stays there. Now I always wrap it around me when I go out to get the mail or whatever. So I enjoyed that one a lot, still very much. Oh, also, at the end of the episode, I'm going to talk about, kind of update you on my Make 9 for 2022, see what I did get to, didn't get to, that kind of thing. Some interesting counts on all the things I made during 2022, and a look at my Make 9 for 2023. It might only be a Make 8 so far. I'm not sure where I left off, so we'll see. Anyway, First item of business I want to show you. I think I did show you this on the last podcast. It's been finished for quite a while now because I powered through this one. I was fairly monogamous, but it is blocked now, and so very lovely. Hi. This is the Silverleaf shawl. It's showing up kind of teal on the camera because I've got a lot of studio lights going on right now. Because it is winter here in the Pacific Northwest, so this is going to make me look really weirdly pink and orange, but anyway, that is a Silverleaf shawl. It's all blocked so you can see the leaf pattern, and it's super squishy, like bouncy garter. Really comfortable, snuggly shawl. I think I might actually give it away. It was just, the making was really fun and the bouncing is really gorgeous, but it's, I don't wear these lighter, smaller shawls very often. I'm like the winter shawl that's like the big triangle that you can wrap around you. So I don't know that I will. I'm just going to insert a picture actually so that I don't keep blowing out my camera with the crazy green. But this was really, really great to make. Fast, super bouncy and gorgeous. The yarn is a yarn from my local yarn shop. The woman that ran it is a dyer herself, but she moved, so there's a new owner at the local yarn shop now. But this is yarn I purchased from the old owner. This is called Quantum Entanglement. I think it's Infinity, yeah, so it's 100% superwash merino in the color forest green. And I used a US 7, a size 7 needle, which is 4.5 millimeter. I did pretty good on this. I don't think I made too many errors, although I did do a double stripe. I don't know if you can tell that. A double stripe of eyelets at the start, because I like misread the pattern or something, and I was thinking that I would fix it at the end, but this is triangular, so I end here on leaves, so I couldn't do that, but it's fine. You don't notice that. So anyway, this is really gorgeous. I definitely recommend this pattern. Fast, squishy, easy, beautiful, and it only took one skein. So, Silverleaf shawl by Maliha Designs. I think it's Lisa Hands is who did that. My next one is one I've made before, and if you're easily offended, please look away. But this is a pattern. It's a free pattern. Who is it by? Telma Costa. Put it on the screen, obviously. The yarn is Gilead de Rerum Natura in Cypress. So Cypress is a yarn, a color I was thinking of using for this shawl. So I ended up getting one skein of it to see, but I did end up wanting to use the more richer green. And Cypress has a little bit more of a darker teal. It almost looks like a pine or a spruce kind of color. I'm going to show it to you in a minute, I promise. So I still have that skein sitting around, so I decided to make a hat from it. There's still plenty that I have left over, but that's what I decided to do with this so far. So this is Cypress and also Bouleau. This is a worsted weight yarn, and it's really cozy. I made it for my sister-in-law, who I don't think watches this, so it should be fine, because I still haven't given it to her yet, but now I can show it to you. It's got the best poof on it. So this, as I said, is a free pattern. And it's, I'll put that up on the screen. But it is a good snowy, slightly cheeky and subversive hat to wear. And I can't remember the colors that I made before. I think they were brown or gray or black. Anyway, so this is a perfect color for it. It's very kind of Christmassy and subversive. So I need to get it to her before the weather changes, for goodness sake. She lives in town. We just, you know how it is when you don't get together. So we didn't end up get together over Christmas. It got really icy here over the holidays, so I didn't get up to see my mom or, you know, see much family during the Christmas holiday, because that's when the roads got all icy. So I still have that. Still need to give it to her, but it's really cute. I also made, so I did, there was a lot of Christmas knitting, of course, mostly for my immediate family, so I still have a lot of those projects. One I don't have here with me, it's in my daughter's room, but so I'm going to show you a picture here. But this is another pair of socks. It's my go-to sock pattern, which is vanilla socks on 9-inch circulars by Crazy Sock Lady. And this yarn is Schreipes Downtown Extra Fine Merino. I'm kind of 0 for 2 on Schreipes. It's weird. That's got to be a fluke. The first one I used was, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but it looks like Soft Fun. I made that for a bag, which I'll also put here. And the bag is cute and everything, but I didn't really like the yarn. It felt kind of cheap. It's a cotton and acrylic blend, I think. So, you know, it's just the material or what have you, but that's okay. But then this yarn, okay, so this yarn is really cozy and luscious and lovely. It's probably, my daughter's probably going to wear holes in them because she's been wearing those socks like nonstop, which makes me very happy. It's yarn she picked out just because she liked the colors, and I just kind of impulsively got it a few months ago with the aim to make socks, so she didn't know I was going to do that. So it was a nice surprise, and she recognized the yarn she picked out. But it wasn't super pleasant to work with. It was so soft that it felt like it was hard to keep hold of. Like it was like just, yeah, so slippery. And not slippery like, you know, yeah, just so soft. It just, so besides it being like on tiny needles and that kind of thing, also the yarn hard to hold, that wasn't my favorite. So I wouldn't recommend the yarn for that, but it is a nice yarn. I mean, I like how it worked up. It made a lovely product. It just was difficult to work with for me. But they had it at my local yarn shop and I wanted to give it a try, of course. So there you go. I made the size small of this one. So I used US 1 needles. This colorway is Museum, by the way, if you're wondering. They have a ton of colors. The pattern, I really like this pattern. I always end up modifying it to put ribbing in some way, not just on the leg, but all the way down the foot so that there's a nice fit. So this one I did a 1x1 ribbing. Yeah, let me see. That's right, because on the next sock, which I do have here with me, I made for my husband, I did a 3x1. So this is the same pattern, but I did a 3x1 on the foot, and I did a 1x1 cuff, but then it's 3x1 all the way down the leg, and then on the top of the foot. I don't do the bottom. This yarn, I was gonna do what is it, Patton's. It was a Patton sock yarn that was really gorgeous, but there were issues with that. I couldn't figure out the gauge. I wanted to do a DK sock. Right, this isn't the same pattern. This is the same person though, Crazy Sock Lady, Kay from Crazy Sock Lady, but she did DK weight socks. These are DK. So this yarn is a Zauberball, and it's kind of a sport DK, but it worked. I used a size 3, a US 3, which is the 2.25 millimeter needle for this, and that worked just fine. And it's kind of nice and springy, not just the ribbing, but the yarn itself. I really like Patton sock yarn for that as well, which is why I was going to use that. It's kind of stronger and then kind of springy, but again, the gauge, it's a fingering yarn, so the gauge wouldn't have been right, and I wanted to work up a DK to kind of go faster. Because I don't love making socks, but I wanted to have a pair for each of my immediate family members, so I was like, I'll get a DK. But then I couldn't use the Pattons, and when I tried to double it, it was just like way too thick, and I ran out of yarn even though I had 2 skeins. So yeah, no go. So I'm going to work up that yarn in actual, just like a fingering, you know, just the regular vanilla socks fingering yarn. But this was the DK, so I got a Zauberball. This colorway is Domino, and the other sock looks pretty similar. I just have the one right here. So they both appreciated those socks, and I did get them done in time. And oh, actually, one I had to finish on Christmas Day. So I stuffed one in a stocking, and the other one I was working on. But I did finish that on Christmas Day. I did kind of a mix of a size medium and large for that one. So I think I cast on something like, 48, 52 stitches, something like that. And then kind of narrowed for the leg. So it's a mix, and that did work really well. So I highly recommend both of those patterns. They're just a really great go-to. And again, I just add the ribbing to make a nicer fit so that it'll kind of hug the foot a little bit better. The next, we're just zooming through here. The next one is actually one that I'm keeping for me. I mean, again, as I've said before, most of the knits I don't make for myself. I love making knits for myself, don't get me wrong. It's just that I might make something that I want to knit, but I don't necessarily want to wear, or, you know, I don't wear hats a lot, or whatever it is. And so this is the same deal. It's a hat, and I made the hat thinking, oh, it's just really pretty. I'm just gonna, maybe I'll give it to my mother-in-law or something. But I love the colors so much, and the hat is so cute, and I decided to keep it for myself. Not that I wear hats very often, but when I do, it's gonna be this one. It's just adorable. And again, I love the colors. So this is the Reindeer Hat. Oh, it's even prettier on camera. It's a little more mellow in real life than the camera's a little bit brightening it up, but it's pretty close. So this is the Reindeer Hat Reindeer Romp Beanie by RosiePosieKnitCo. That's so cute. I don't forget where I got the poof, but this is one I had in my stash, and it's a pretty good match. It's not exactly the same, but it goes, so it works all right. Just super fun to work up. Not too hard because it's just two colors. I mean, at least in the color work. There's my floats. Kind of see those. I always do my go-to cast on, honestly, kind of for everything, unless I really need to do a different one, is I think, okay, so I use a Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off, but I use a Tilly Buddy cast on. Is that right, or is it the reverse? I think that's right. Anyway, so I always use a Tilly Buddy cast on. And then I just knit a lot of ribbing so that I could have that folded up brim. I think I made a modification. What did I do? I think I didn't make it as long up here. Can't quite recall, because I don't like super long pointy crowns. But otherwise I pretty much follow the pattern. So this is Blue Sky's Woolstok worsted in 3 different colors. So this is Spring Ice, I think, and October Sky, and then the white is what is the white? Spring Ice, October Sky, and Highland Fleece. My bad. I remember now. Okay. It's already getting a little droopy right there in that fold, but it's okay. I got it. It's not as thick as it could be. Anyway, this is super cute. Definitely recommend that pattern. I've seen a couple of ones like it, but that one, yeah, it was a total joy to make. Easy. I also used those same colors. This is probably the only crochet I have. I'll explain why that is, but in a minute. But anyway, I used that same yarn and added another color, Thermal Spring. So I had 4 blues of Blue Sky worsted, and I made the mini stocking garland. I'm just going to show you these one by one. They're so cute. By Fiona Field. And I just kind of played with the different combinations of colors. I did change this up a little bit. I mean, I used the pattern, but I made this, so I made all the cuffs on it out of regular yarn. I think she might have had something a little fuzzier or something. I can't quite recall. But I made it double long so I could fold it over, and then just hangs on a little garland thing. So I didn't put them on a garland. I didn't know what I was going to do with them. I just made them. And the yarn was a little bit stiff, so I actually did bother to block these, even though, you know, probably wasn't necessary, but they actually feel a lot nicer. So I'm glad I did block them. These stripes are my favorite. I think this one's my favorite. But oh, they're so cute. So I guess I'll put them on a garland next year or make more to add to it or something. But this is really cute. I've always wanted to do one of those colorwork mitten garlands that have like, that's kind of an advent, you know, that counts the 24. Yeah, or at least the 12. But that's a little bit more work and I couldn't commit to that this time. But I wanted to do something crochet and I couldn't figure out what to do. I usually, for garments, I usually like to knit, and there's, all the garments I was making were for Christmas, so I kind of had that all planned out. But this, one of the projects I'll show you in a minute, it is knit, and it's in a worsted held double. It's kind of a skinny worsted, maybe like a light worsted, but still it's held double, and I'm cabling, so there's a lot of rustling, and I actually ended up kind of hurting my thumb a little bit, so I had to slow down and kind of intersperse it. And so a really great way for me to do that is to work on, I mean, you know, not cable double worsted, double thick projects, but also to crochet. So, but I just wasn't feeling anything that I wanted to crochet, even though I did want to do crochet, but I wasn't feeling a project or a pattern that I was that excited about. So I don't know, that one I finally did. I finally just decided to try that. So it wasn't, I mean, it was just sort of quick. It wasn't like a big deal to, you know, get me into another whole project of crochet, but it was fun. It was something. And my thumb also relaxed and healed, and I kind of pacing myself, which is why that project that hurt my thumb was not ready by Christmas. And I thought it would be ready by his birthday. It's for my husband. But I don't think that's going to happen either. Anyway, I'm yammering about it, so now I just need to show you. But I'm still finishing my FOs. So one more. I guess this is kind of a work in progress because I haven't woven in the ends, and it needs a fluffy. It needs this. It needs that exact one or something really close. So I'm waiting for something to come. Another poof for this one, but. So this is not the project that hurt my thumb. This is something different. This is a very, very lightly cabled project. It's something that I saw was coming, and I got it the minute it came out, like after midnight. And so this is the Gro Hat, Gro, oh so pretty, by Fiber Tales. And you make these different lengths of plants. I'm sure she had a specific inspiration, I don't know what it is, by cabling, and they're just like, you know, 2x2, 3x1, you know, they're just small cable. I used more Gilead Rerum Natura yarn that I had around. This is also, this is, I think this is Bouleau as well. I'm looking for it. Yes, and a size 7 needles. So I made a couple of changes. First of all, this calls for a DK weight. So I went up to a worsted because I felt like the DK was going to be too small. And then to go up a needle size, I felt like it was not going to be as dense as I wanted it of a fabric. So I went up a needle size. I think the pattern calls for a 6 and a 4, like a 4 for the ribbing. I went to a 5 and a 7. So yeah, 4.5 millimeter should be a 7. So I went up to kind of accommodate the yarn and also to accommodate for the size. And I think that made a perfect size. This is for my mother-in-law for her birthday. I'm also making a hat for my father-in-law, which I'll show you shortly. And then I hope to send the two together. So my mother-in-law's birthday's already passed, but my father-in-law's is coming up. So hopefully I'll get them both there together. So I just need to weave in this end and this end. But I'll probably do that when I get a poof for or a palm for the hat and sort that all out. So the only thing I changed on this was I didn't change the kind of decreases or even the rate, but I did change how often. So I just made the hat taller, because the hat itself looks kind of like flat and almost squared off, which is sort of cool, but not the look I wanted. And it felt like it would be too shallow of a fit, even at this larger gauge. So, so I changed that up, and I'm pretty happy with it. So happy, in fact, that I turned right around and made another one, or at least started another one. So I used that yarn from my stash, which again was the Rerum Natura, but I kind of envisioned it in this like creamy, like snow white, or really, you know, snow cream color. And my LYS carries a lot of Barocco, which is one of my favorite go-tos. So this is probably Barocco Vintage. I don't know if I wrote this one. Yeah, I did. Barocco Vintage in just a cream color, whatever their cream color is. So I've started another one. If I got back to this, I'd probably finish it in like one sitting or one day, because it won't take that long. But I do really like it. It is kind of everything I hoped for. But I don't know. Of course I love the rustic, turn this around, the rustic vibe to this one. But there's kind of like something that's a little pristine about this color, so I like them both. This one I'll probably display in my LYS if she wants to kind of show off the yarn, and what a great pattern from Fiber Tales, but of course that's expected. I did everything the same here. Again, this is a worsted, and I used the same size needles and everything, so I'm doing it just like I did the other one, and I will do the decreases the same and all of that. Okay, I'm down to 2. This one I started because I did all my socks, and so I ran out of car knitting. So I still need like a totally mindless, only stockinette, don't have to look at it, you know, kind of project. So I decided to start on my father-in-law's hat. And I actually decided, although it was never on my radar to begin with, I'm not even sure if I wrote this one down. I need to do it. This was never on my radar, but I decided to cast on a Burrow hat. I don't know who it's by because I didn't write it down, so I'll put it here. This is out of the leftover Zauber ball that I did the socks in, as you could tell. This hat's for my father-in-law, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with the Burrow. Some people call it Musselburgh. I think it's Musselburgh. Anyway, so I've obviously just started. This has got to be like 4 times as long, if not longer. So it's double layered. You make a big old tube, and then you stuff one side into it, and then you can fold it up for the ribbing. Yeah, so, right? So that's what I'm going to do. So this one's going fine. Again, it's just plain old stockinette. I cast on the Zauberball, which is the kind of like the sport DK. So what size needles did I use? I don't even know what these are. Probably a 7. I don't know. Anyway, it's all on my project page in Ravelry. The Muscle Burrow is really nice because it's a basically like, you know, do your own gauge and decide what needle size and what yarn you want to use, and it's built into the pattern, so you don't have to make a separate gauge swatch. It's just, you know, use the pattern to do your gauge, and then you can sort it out from there. So it's really handy. What's interesting is this uses a circular cast on, which I've never done. And I've seen the pinhole cast on done, which looks like a nightmare, and you don't want to do that. Like, I saw Very Pink Knits, Stacy from Very Pink Knits, demonstrate it once. And, you know, it's like, you've got like 4 stitches on 4 separate needles. And so, you know, you hold it up, it's kind of like wind chimes, is what she says. I mean, it is. So I was like, oh, I'm not looking forward to that if that's what I need to do. But you can use any circular cast on, and I found one that uses a crochet hook to start. I forget what it's called. Put it here if I remember it, in one of my books. And actually, it's basically a magic circle in crochet. So I already knew exactly, you know, how to work that. I actually ended up working it for probably, if you can see that, differentiate that, for probably like 3 or 4 rows. So it got really bubbly because the crochet gauge and like direction of stitches is different than you would have in a knit stitch. So I actually have like blocked just this little part to kind of ease up on that bubble. But it was so worth it to not have to do a super fiddly cast on, or you know, because after I cast on I still would have only had like 8 stitches. So I got to, you know, like 20 or something, 24 before I switched to knit. And that was really handy. So highly recommend doing that if you know crochet and if you know the magic circle. Some people have trouble with the magic circle. I am a lucky one who doesn't, so that was totally easy. This is what the Zauber ball looks like in the ball. Obviously there's bands of black too, but I've used those all up, or they're tucked in so you can't see them, but I think it literally means crazy or something, crazy ball. They're fun. Okay. This is the big project. This is the monster whip that I've been working on. It is literally in 3 bags right now. It's gonna take, I don't know, 12 skeins of yarn or something crazy. It uses Blue Sky worsted in cast iron. Here comes a cat behind me. And I bought that yarn for my, I was gonna call it Evermore or Evergreen, what is it? My Elwood, an Elwood cardigan, which is like a shawl collar old man kind of cardigan. And I just sort of lost steam on it and decided to pull it all out. So this was perfect for a thing on that I had on my Make 9 to make a sweater for my husband, because I'd never done that before. And I went through several incarnations. Should I make this one? Should I make that one? So the one on my Make 9 is not the one I ended up making. And that was because to try to find, I had all this yarn that I really wanted to use because it is a good, not only did I have it already, so there's that investment already made, but also it was I could get bang on gauge if I held them together. So I decided to do that. Normally I wouldn't really want to if I didn't have to. But Woolstok worsted is actually, it feels a little thin, and when you block it, it doesn't really like plump up as much as like a worsted or a woolen spun yarn might or something. So I couldn't get gauge, and I just didn't like the fabric. So I did have to hold this double too, but luckily I had a sweater's quantity of it in double because that was going to be the plan to begin with. So I finally picked something called the Hector Cardigan. Who's that? By Jody Long. And it's an okay pattern. It's very nice looking. It's cabled almost all over, but there's a lot of seed stitch. I started attempting the one in my Make 9, and it just felt like too much. This is still kind of too much, but I mean, an all over cabled sweater, which is kind of what I've got my heart set on, cardigan or not or whatever, for my husband, that was going to be a little much, you know? So it's like, I already knew that I was making an investment. So this one, I don't know, just kind of spoke to me. The pattern is nice, except that there's no schematic, which I'm finding to be kind of a bummer. It's workable, but it's kind of a bummer. But this is still challenging. Like, I've made a number of mistakes that I'm not going back to correct in cables. You know, and I don't think you'll notice it, but of course I'll notice it, but it's not going to be a big deal overall. So I haven't pulled any of them out. I don't think. Some of them maybe. Anyway, but there's just been a lot of, it's taking a long time, of course, because it will. I started in December, and I knew I started late, so it's not even like I was like had my heart set on finishing it for him, but I was going to try. And then I hurt my hand, so I just kind of had to like make sure I slowed down and intersperse it with other stuff, so I had to go slower there. So it's not going to be done in, you know, 2 days. But it will be done soon, and it will be nice. It's just going to be late for his birthday, which is sort of a bummer. Anyway, this is in, like I said, this is in 3 different bags. So I'm just going to show you one panel, which is unblocked, and it's the front, or the right front panel. So it'll go right here and then, you know, fit underneath. I'm almost done with the top. I just need to do the shoulder shaping now for the top, and then that's all done. So it's nice. So there's all that seed stitch. This is the one I think I've messed up the least on. Yeah, because usually, oh, there's one. Because usually what I mess up on is there's a cable like this. It's just a 2x2 cable, and it's on either side of this main big cable. And so I always mess up whether I'm supposed to hold in back or in front. It's something I get confused. It's that I will space out and I'll be like, okay, here's the 2x2 one, and I'll just put it the wrong direction. So yeah, but I've done that a lot less than I did on the back. The back is really pretty because it's got these two of these cables and then a serpentine on either end of that. So I've done almost all the back, almost all of one sleeve, and then almost all of this. So I still have to do the left front and another sleeve. I keep just hitting little snags, like I don't understand what the pattern is saying for finishing, or I figured out that something got messed up and now I have to rip back 4 rows to do the finishing on the back. So the back, I left the back alone and started on the front, right? Or I started on the sleeve. And then the sleeve cap, I started doing the sleeve cap and I realized that this sleeve is just going to be too long. So now I have to rip back everything I've done so that I can start so I can do the decreases or the bind offs and decreases for the sleeve lower down on the sleeve, because otherwise it's going to end up too long, because I still need that long sleeve cap to match the others. So that's not fun. So then I left the sleeve to start the start the right front, to just sort of like be able to just kind of like get the bulk of the knitting done before I mess with all of that. So luckily I have a lot of needles, because I've had to this is a size 8. The pattern calls for a 10 and a 10.5, and I used an 8 and a 6, I think, and held double in order to get gauge. So that's interesting. I don't think I'm necessarily a loose knitter. I mean, we all think we knit normally and everybody else is weird, right? So I don't know. But anyway, despite the mistakes and the hassle and the length and that it hurt my thumb, I really like it, and I have high hopes for this sweater to fit and look nice, and hopefully, you know, it'll be nicer when it's blocked. You know, you can still kind of see through, I don't know if you can tell. Yeah, you can still kind of see through the fabric. So hopefully I'll get a little plumping, but held double, at least I still feel pretty good about it. The purling in here I think is the most dense, but yeah, the seed stitch, you're still seeing a little bit through it. But you know, I haven't made a ton of sweaters and none for my husband, so I don't really know the sizes. And anyway, blah blah blah. This is going to have a shawl collar. I'm going to put a picture up here of what the Hector cardigan is going to look like. So it's going to be like that cozy grandpa sweater. And he asked for a pullover, but I think he'll like a cardigan. I do think he'll like it. And I wasn't really looking on purpose to do a cardigan. It's just, I opened myself up to possibilities, and that's what came through. So, is that all to say about that one? I think so. Yeah. So those are all my FOs and my whips, and now I want to talk about my Make 9. So my Make 9, here it is. I'm going to sit right over here. My Make 9 check-in for 2022. Here's what I got. I feel like I did pretty well. I think I would have gotten, I'd been more likely to get the 9 projects. So I made more than 9 projects this year. But my Make 9, I just kind of use it for like really special things, or like, you know, things that I want to try because I want to try the stitch, or because I want to make this object for so-and-so, or because it's a really big project or whatever. So I kind of save my Make 9 for that. So I made more than 9 things, and that's fine. But I think where I kind of went wrong, not that it's wrong, but I think why I didn't finish everything on my Make 9 is kind of because I didn't go back and replace the things that I decided not to do with something else. So I think I might do that this year if that happens. Anyway, so let's see. The Aurora Borealis mitts I haven't made. I still want to make them. But the reason I put them on my list was because I just wanted to do a colorwork mitten. And so I did that. That was the Snowy Mittens or Snowy Mitts by Jessica McDonald. They match the shawl that you saw in the background. Hi, kitty. This is Samson, little baby boy. Yeah, you're sweet, aren't you? Okay, so I did, so I consider that, you know, checked off, yes. The Heart of the Forest socks, I did not do those. There was no sub. I didn't do colorwork socks. That's kind of why I put it on there, and I didn't do those, so Oops. The Cola cabled sweater. Again, that's the one that I was going to make for my husband, and I just got really overwhelmed by trying to sort it out, and I decided to find something else. I may still make it. Again, this is not going to be the last sweater I make for my husband, and we'll see how it turns out. And I still want to give him a pullover, so anyway. So I may try it in the future. Not in the near future though, because I'm kind of getting cabled out. So even though that's not finished, and even though I substituted it, I'm giving that a win because I am, I did heavily start on it in December. So it's like, you know, halfway done, and it was in the same spirit, which is making my husband a cabled sweater. So there you go. The Owl Obsession blanket. I did not do that, and there are no subs. So just... oops. This is one of those ones where I think I should have replaced it, and I just didn't get around to doing that, because I was going to make it because my sister was having a baby, and I didn't make it because I just feel weird about knitted blankets for babies and like little fingers and the big yarn holes, and I don't know, I don't know. So I changed my mind about that one. I'd still like to make that one though. It's really cute. And maybe I'll still, I don't know, maybe I'll do it this year or another year because the baby will grow up and I'll feel less weird about it. And it's so cute. And it's a really good way to use up scrap yarn. I mean, maybe not a ton of it, but you know, use up scrap yarn and make all the owls different colors and stuff. So it'd be cute. Anyway, so that's a no. I did make the Under Duress sweater. That is the red one. I made it a solid color. In here it's like multicolors, and it's got this great striping and or great pattern, and I completely ignored it. I just used it for the v-neck and made a solid, well, solid red. It's a nice tonal. The Rosa jumper, I haven't been working on that because I worked on it on our trip to Disneyland in October, but I haven't been working on it because then I've been doing Christmas knits and gift knitting and stuff. So I'm definitely going to get back to that as soon as I finish this Hector cardigan, but I did start on it, and so yay, I consider that a win. Frog and Toad, obviously I think you can see them right up there. So Frog and Toad, that is a project that I started before last year, but it was on my Make 9, and I still did a lot of it in that year and finished it, and so total win. Never making that again. I'm so happy to have it. It's cool. Little Tree Line, absolutely did that. That was one of the sweaters that I made for my sister when she had her baby, so so that was good and totally cute. And then this was another one where I had no sub for it, and that was the Current Mood shawl. I was going to do, hi baby, I was going to use that as a reason to learn brioche. So I kind of thought that I might be changing out that shawl because it's not like I have a lot of strong feelings about that shawl either way, but it seemed like a pretty brioche pattern. I saw Vine making it, and so I was going to do that. You need to settle down, but I didn't, and I didn't get to it or any sub or anything. So maybe brioche. I don't have any brioche on my list this year. Like I'm just kind of feeling like a little bit like overwhelmed with new stuff. So I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so now here is my Make 9 for 2023. And I was right, it's only 8. So I'll try to decide one more and I'll stick it in this box so that it'll have 9. So the first one is, again, in no particular order, is the Cargill Sweater by Crayabea, by Rebecca Crayabea. This is one I have had big struggles with, as I told you before. Okay, stop that. Just stay on camera and be pretty. Okay, so this is one I've had trouble with and had some complaints about, as I've mentioned. So I'm not positive I'm going to do this one, as I've said, but I did put it on my Make 9 because I do still have the intention to make it when I can tackle the frustration. I think I have a game plan. My main concern now is that the yarn I got for it is of 2 different lots and it shows. So I'd like to do something like, maybe I could make the sleeves a little bit lighter so it doesn't just have a stripe across my body, but I can't really do that because it's going to be an all-around, yoke, so half the sleeve would be, yeah, so I don't know what I'm doing about that. Maybe nothing. Maybe I'll just make it and hope for the best. I don't know. Just like an all over cable sweater, it is an all over dip stitch pattern. And so again, that's kind of, that's an investment. And I'm not sure, I just want to say whatever about the dye lots on that investment. So I don't know. But as of now, it's on my Make 9. Also, I really want to make a beret. I've wanted to make a beret for a while, and the bonus with this is actually a crochet beret. I'd like to do, you know, a couple of them. There's one, I'll put it here because I don't remember the name, but that a number of people have made. I think Maria from Woolen Forest Knits has made it, and I know a number of other people. And it looks great, and it's a knit beret. But this one is a houndstooth beret, and it's crochet, and so I'm very intrigued. So I want to make this one. That is by, so it's Classy Houndstooth by Maria Yim, if I'm reading that correctly. Then another crochet project is the Astrid Pillow by Mallory Crawl. I want to do this, so much like this reindeer hat I showed you, where I've got like, it's all kind of in these blue tones. I want to do like a single color, you know, like a monochromatic crochet pillow where it kind of is like whites to blues, or maybe it'll be, I don't know what it's going to be. Is it going to be like, you know, all like browns, like cream brown, dark brown, you know, or blues or what? But I want to make it like not a crazy like granny square nutso blanket with all your scrap colors in it, but all very much in a matching tone. I think that would look really nice. And I don't think I've ever done a pillow before, or pillow cover, so that'll be fun. And speaking of crochet projects, yeah, there's a number of crochet things on here, which is really cool. So there is also the, I'm doing this from memory, so I hope this is what I'm talking about. There's another crochet one called the Summer Flower Top, and I cannot read her name or my writing, so we'll put it here. But this is kind of because I saw a lot of crochet granny square tops this year. It got really popular, and I kept taking pictures of them and being like, I'm gonna do that, and I never got around to doing it. Part of why that is because the yarn has such a beautiful finish in the stores, right? And I'm like, I need to make sure I find a really good yarn to do that with, where I can get that kind of softness, that kind of flow. I'm thinking, this is kind of silly considering I said I didn't like working with it, but I'm thinking that Shipey's Downtown would actually be really nice, but I don't know. Anyway, so this is going to be dependent on finding a really good yarn, because I'm sure there's treatments, or I'm sure they've done something in the manufacturing of that garment that I don't know that I can duplicate on my own. So anyway, we'll see. But I have done a granny square top kind of before. Probably a couple. I did a crop top. It was really cute. I'd totally do it again. So I don't know if I'll keep this on my list or what, but I've been wanting to do it, so I think I got to do it, especially because it'd be a great summer thing to have at a summer fair. So I'll probably do that one. The Hector Cardigan, of course, is on my list to finish that. Also, the Spruce Island Sweater. This is by Jennifer, I can't read it, but it's on the screen. I scrawled this in my book, so in my notes. This one is, I kind of hesitated on it because I'm gonna make it green. I could do maybe fall colors and have like the trees all have like kind of a different tone of like red, orange, yellow, you know, different browns and different hues and stuff, like some cinnamon and you know, cognac kind of colors. So I could do that. That's a possibility, but I was thinking I'd do it, you know, in these shades of green, very much like I see it. And I love the striped sleeves, but it's kind of reminding me of my Sasquatch sweater. I striped the sleeves. I did kind of like that same tonal colors. It's obviously, I have a lot of green sweaters. I have a lot of things with trees on them. So I'm kind of like, this is sort of like why I put this off, because I'm like, well, you know, it's kind of the same. But I don't care. I love it, and there's a reason why I have a lot of green sweaters with trees on them. So I've decided I'm going to do it. and that will be for me. The two others I have, and then of course maybe one more that I'll show you if I've decided on it, if Editing Amy has made the decision, is a Victorian ruffled style cape by Alexa somebody. Again, I'll put it on the screen. This is something I've had on my list for quite a while. I don't know the shape that the pattern's in. I hope it's a good pattern. But my daughter really likes Victorian and especially Edwardian kind of style clothing, and has some clothing of that era. So I think she'd really appreciate that. And so maybe I'll like save that for like next Christmas or something, so that she can wear it in the cooler weather and make it like really warm and woolly, but still like comfortable and soft, especially because it comes up, you know, by the neck. But and it's a cape, so I can make it as long as I want, but it's also not, I mean, it's not gonna need like sleeves or much assembly or anything like that. So I think that'll be a good one. And she also requested an ugly Christmas sweater. And of course I didn't have time to do it this year because she just requested it like a month ago. But she's like, I really need an ugly Christmas sweater. And so I'm like, okay, well, I could just buy one for this year, but what are we talking about ugly? You know, she's like, well, not ugly, because I don't think they're ugly is what she said, you know. But the ones that have like, just like not a big picture on it, but like all the tiny little rows of, you know, pictures, even if it was just like a yoke and not all over, but she'd like all over too. And I thought, Skein-Deer's festive yoke, totally. So by no means is this ugly. Let me just be clear. We both put ugly in quotes because it's that idea of like you kind of have like a wacky Christmas sweater where it's like not understated, right? But obviously one that's not ugly. So I actually thought this would be really good, and I think I'm gonna do that one, and that will be a major project too. So like I said, I'd like to keep my make nines for like major or really special projects that I've been meaning to do for a while, or have a new technique or something. So I think this will be really cool. And I don't think I've done any of Skein-Deer's projects yet, but I totally love her podcast. She's adorable. Her work is impeccable. I especially love her construction when she's talked about it on the podcast, and I've been wanting to try it. I really wanted to try her librarian. Maybe I'll put that on the list. I don't know. It's kind of gives me an Argyle vibe. In fact, it's not different colors, but it's got the diamond shapes on it. So maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll do that one. The Skein-Deer librarian as well. So I've never tried one of her patterns, but I have pretty good confidence that it will be good. So I'm looking forward to that make nine. I have to say, I watched her podcast the other day. She talks really fast. She's just adorable. Smart designer. She's got a PhD too. I've enjoyed watching her for quite some time, but the other day she said something that I just thought was totally adorable. She was talking about mittens, and how when the yarn she used worked up, that yarn was such a snack. And I just that was adorable. So I highly recommend her podcast, by the way. So I am going to close out with all the projects that I made in 2022. Most of the projects, probably some slipped through my fingers, but I want to give you a count of all the things that I made in 2022. And so I'm going to leave you with that little show here at the end. So thanks for joining me. I hope your 2023 is fantastic, and I'll see you next time. Enjoy the show. Bye.